Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a good Friday. I want to speak about the FIFA Women's Player of the Year nominees, but it feels right to take this opportunity to send all of our love to Beth Mead. She announced today on social media that her mum, June, has passed away after a battle with ovarian cancer. And it's so desperately sad. Very, very, very sad for Beth Mead. Everyone can agree, one of the nicest people, one of the most chatty, outgoing, fun players at the absolute height of her game, and going through such a personal struggle, nightmare, physically. But losing her mum must be the hardest challenge for so many people, and I just sympathise so much with Beth Mead and her family, and also just credit to the woman that is Beth Mead, and the woman that she's become on and off the pitch. I think massively gives credit to her mum. So I feel so desperately sad for Beth, as do we all. So I just wanted to take a minute to send her all of the love, and well done once again to Beth Mead. Another nomination for FIFA's Best Women's Player of the Year. The nominations came out last night. There's one or two okay in there, and I think it's Jessie Fleming for me. Dabina as well. Ada Hegerberg, the Champions League winning game, of course, for Lyon was exceptional, but has been quiet since, maybe. Of course, there's injuries involved as well, but let's go through the list. You've got Bon Mati from Barcelona and Spain, Dabina, free agent, she plays for Brazil, Jessie Fleming for Chelsea, and Canada, Ada Hegerberg, Lyon and Norway, Sam Kerr, Chelsea and Australia, Beth Mead, Arsenal and England, Vivianne Miedema, Arsenal and Netherlands, Alex Morgan for San Diego Wave in the USA, Lena Oberdorf for Wolfsburg in Germany, Alexandra Popp, Wolfsburg in Germany, Alexia Putellas, who? From Barcelona and Spain, Wendy Renard, Lyon in France, Kira Walsh, Barcelona and England, and Leah Williamson, Arsenal and England. An unbelievable list, and I think in a conversation that I'd had the other day, we're just seeing so many key players now, big names becoming household names in the women's game, and seeing these women all making it to this list is quite exceptional. Perhaps I'm being massively harsh there towards Jessie Fleming. I probably am, so I take that all back. Stick with me. But yeah, I was curious about it as well. Anyway, the ones I think we would like to focus on is Sam Kerr, Beth Mead, Lena Oberdorf, Alexandra Popp, Alexia Putellas. The two that have made their way into this list for me who deserve the recognition, of course, is Kira Walsh and Leah Williamson from Arsenal. Leah Williamson, it feels like, has obviously been given her credit and her due from leading the Lionesses to victory and captaining them, and for also setting such an example at Arsenal as well. But we don't see Leah Williamson at a lot of these awards at these big moments. So I think she's obviously going to be pleased with this nomination, and you can't fault her. She really hasn't put a foot wrong. And when Arsenal are without Leah Williamson, they're not the same. They're not the same Arsenal, and I watch them all the time. I'm there at every game I can get to. And of course for England, she was 10 out of 10. She really was. Kira Walsh is a player who has got the recognition off of the back of the Euros, a player who's always been solid, she's always been there, she's always been a huge part of a team, but the recognition that a player deserves because of the job that she does, she keeps them ticking, tick, 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 tick. She doesn't put a foot wrong, and I actually look ahead to the World Cup ahead, and for the Lionesses, if Kira Walsh is not in that midfield, they will not be that same team. Now, all well and she stays fit and everything is fine. Kira Walsh will be in that midfield, of course, but if not, Serena Wiegmann, I would say, would have a little bit more of a problem on her hands, a little bit more. I know there are options. Katie Zellin, for example, you know, we have seen more and more off the back of the Euros and how she can experiment with her midfield. But for me and for many others, and for you probably as well, Keira Walsh is the answer there. So huge credit to her. Alexa Putellas goes and does it again. All of her career. Outstanding. And I was speaking to a women's football journalist who covers Barcelona more than most, and she was saying how everything that goes into Alexa Putellas' life is to make her the best footballer ever. You know, that she's that committed to being the best of the best. So I really enjoyed that conversation and getting further insight to Alexa Putellas, and I guess looking forward to her return, you know, to her return in Alexa Putellas 2.0. Alexandra Popp is the one for me. Who pops, you know, Wolfsburg and Germany, and how great she was on the Euros. And I guess, you know, looking at all of these injuries that we see to these players, again, we've mentioned it with Alexa Putellas, we've mentioned it with Beth Mead, Viviana Miedema is on that list, Ada Hegerberg is on this list, players who have suffered from season-defining injuries. Alexandra Popp to be injured and out on the warm-up of the Euros final for Germany was such a low point for her and for the team, and actually the stars aligned for the Lionesses that day. Not saying they wouldn't have got the win had Lena Oberdorf been Alexandra Popp been playing, but she would have definitely caused much more of a goal threat, you know, up there for Germany, as she had done all tournament with the likes of Beth Mead for the Lionesses as well. Yeah, I think she is just an absolutely incredible player, as do I think Lena Oberdorf is the same. So looking forward to see what more they have to offer. Alex Morgan, I guess because I don't follow the league as often, I don't see it as much, but she's just such an example, I guess. Like, I would say she's the absolute example of what you're looking for, and the goals that she provides on and off the pitch. She is a shining star, and she cannot put a foot wrong. Viviana Miedema is the one I want to get to, because Viviana Miedema I've watched for such a long time. I've seen her at the height at Arsenal when she won the Euros for the Netherlands, making it to the other later stages of the World Cup as well for the Netherlands. But where she is now and where she was getting to from that break, and I had done this interview with her for DAZN ahead of the Champions League game for the group stage. Oh gosh, can't remember what game it was, and not shortly after she had done her ACL. But this interview we put together, she was so clear and on top of her game and refreshed, and she'd gone away and had that time to herself, and came back better and stronger, because she could tell herself it's okay not to be great all the time. And I really enjoyed getting that insight to Viviana Miedema. And she's just such an icon of the women's game as well. And again, I've just seen on Viviana Miedema's story, she's put up a picture of her with Beth Mead's mum. And remember in the Euros final when Viviana Miedema was wearing the England top, she said, "June made me wear this to the final, otherwise I couldn't go with them," which was very, very sweet and probably very, very true as well. Viviana Miedema for me there's nobody like her in the women's game yet, and she's set an example moving forward, and I actually was so looking forward to, after that break and the form that she'd hit and this ACL injury, it's just like, oh god, I can't imagine how she feels, with a partner, of course, Beth Mead, who in the form of her life has so much to deal with just now as well, and I really, really do sympathise, and I know we all do. Ada Hegerberg just doesn't surprise me anymore, but we haven't seen an awful lot of her this season, that owing that to injury. I thought you can't help but think back to the Euros as well against England and that 8-0 defeat. I was just like, what happened there? And I want to see the comeback of that as well. Bonmatí, I think, is one of the players just that we're all looking at moving forward for Barcelona and for Spain. Unplayable, next level. She absolutely has it all. So yeah, interesting list. If I look at a winner, I think for Arsenal and for a country and for a major tournament, you have to give the plaudits to Beth Mead. You do, and this comes back to the Ballon d'Or debate with Beth Mead and Alexa Putellas, and I know there was a further points gap than initially than what was first reported, but she stepped up for her club, for her country. And I know they didn't win the league, Arsenal, but she did her job and some. And of course, for her Euros achievements, I think she's fit for FIFA's best women's player of the year. For me, she has to win that. Do you agree?